So today we're going to look at the sum of the series. And the sum of the series of the first n terms in an arithmetic series. And it's really important to note that when we're looking at the sum of series, we can only use it for an arithmetic series or what we've been calling a linear sequence. We cannot use it for any other type of sequence. And this is given by the formula Sn equals to n over 2 by 2a plus n minus 1d. And this formula appears on the formula tables, where a is the first term of our sequence and d is the common difference. And n is whatever stage of the sequence that it is. Okay, so we're just going to take an example here and maybe it'll just explain it a little bit better. So I have the sequence 31, 35, 39, 43. And we know that that's linear because we can see that the difference between each one is 4. So if I just write down my d, which is 4, and my a, my first term, we know is going to be 31, then all I'm going to do then is I'm going to take this and substitute it in. Okay, so that's my step 1. Step 1, write down your d and your a. And I think as well it's a good thing to write down the formula. I already have it here. So step 2, substitute. Substitute. So let's substitute this formula. So we haven't been given a value for n, so we just leave s of n equals to n over 2. And in my brackets I have 2 multiplied by the first term, which is 31, plus n minus 1 in brackets, multiplied by d, which in this case is plus 4. Sorry, wrong bracket. Okay, now I'm going to go about simplifying that. So that's step 3. Simplify. And when I say simplify, when we're talking about algebra, it just means making this term, this equation, everything we substitute in. So multiplying anything that we can, like 2 by 31 and 4 by the whole of this bracket, and making it as simple as possible. So we have Sn equals to n over 2, and I'm just going to leave that for a second. So 2 by 31 is 62, plus, and remember, we need to multiply the 4 by the first term here, and then we need to multiply it by the second term. So I get 4n, 4 by minus 1 gives me minus 4, and just I can simplify that further. Oh, sorry, wrong bracket again. So I have Sn equals to n over 2. Then I get 62 minus 4 will give me 58 plus 4n. Okay, so there's one last thing I can do here. And what it is I can multiply this term here into the bracket. So if I do that, I have to first of all multiply it by the 58, and second of all multiply it by the 4n. So to do that then, just going to make this a little bit smaller so you can see. What I'm going to have then is Sn equals n over 2 by 58 gives me 58n over 2. And in a second what we're going to do is we're going to divide that 58 by 2 to get a more simple answer again. Then we have plus 4n squared, because remember n by n will give me n squared, all over 2. And the final part of this, because I can simplify this fraction here, so I'll just colour it in so you guys can see it. This is a fraction here I can simplify, 58 over 2, and 4 over 2 is a fraction I can simplify as well. So 58 over 2 gives me 29n plus, and 4 over 2 gives me 2n squared. And that's my final formula for that. So what does Sn mean, or what are we doing? Well, if I wanted to find the sum of the first 4 terms, I can do that by looking at my terms. So I have 31 plus 35 plus 39 plus 43. And when I add all of those together, 31 plus 35 plus 39 plus 43, I will get 148. But I actually can use my formula to do this. So S4 equals to 29 by 4 plus 2 plus 2, 4 squared. So 29 by 4. So all I've done there is replaced the ends in this formula here with 4 plus 2 by 4 2b squared gives me 148 as well. Now that's really important. For example, if they asked me for S50, rather than me having to write out every single term the whole way along up to 50 terms and then add them all together on the calculator, this is just a really quick way to do that. Okay, so let's do one more example then. So remember, we start off always with identifying our D and our A. So our difference here, we can see 5 to 15 is 10, 15 to 25 is 10, 25 to 35 is 10. So my D is equal to 10. And then we have our A is equal to the first term, which we know is 5. We have our formula here, and it's always good to write that out. So in step 2, we're going to substitute in the D and the A into that formula. So I have Sn equals to n over 2, 2 by 5 plus n minus 1, and then my D is going to be 10. On my next line, because I'm going to simplify that further, so I'm just going to put there 3 is simplify, n over 2, 2 by 5 is 10, plus, and remember we have to multiply 10 by n and 10 by minus 1. So I get 10n minus 10. And then I get Sn equals to n over 2. And if I just simplify those brackets further, well, what I can see here is that plus 10 and minus 10, they cancel. So what I get is 10n in that bracket. Again, simplify that. So all I'm going to do now is I'm going to multiply all of this by that. Okay, and when we do that, all we do is we multiply the top line by 10n and leave the fraction underneath. So what I get then is 10n squared all over 2, which I know that if I look at that fraction there, 10 over 2, I will get 5n squared. And that's my formula. Now, for the second part of this question, I have S30 is what they're looking for. So S30, so instead of n, I'm going to replace with 30 to be squared. And when I do that, I get 5 by 30 squared, just popping it all into the calculator, I get 4,500. Okay, so I want you to have a go at this sequence. You can pause the video here and see how you get on. This is going to be a little bit different because you're going to have a negative number for your D. But you should be fine with it. You should be used to that by now from multiplying negative numbers in our linear sequence. So have a little look, see how you get on, and then when you're ready, press play and we'll go through the whole thing. Okay, so let's go through this then. So first of all, I can see that my difference is minus 4 each time. So in my step 1, my D is equal to minus 4, and I see my A is equal to 16. Okay, step 2, pop all that into our Sn formula. So I have Sn equals to n over 2. I have 2 by 16 plus n minus 1, and my D I'm just going to put into brackets because there's a negative sign in front of it. Step 3, I'm going to simplify that. Sn equals to n over 2. 2 by 16 is 32. Plus minus 4 by n, so not plus. It's going to be a negative. Minus 4 by n is going to give me minus 4n. And then minus 4 by plus 1 gives me minus 4 by minus 1 gives me plus 4. simplifying that further, then I get n over 2. 32 plus 4 gives me 36 minus 4n. And then all I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this whole fraction into that there. So I am going to get Sn equals 36n over 2 minus 4n squared over 2. And again, just going to make that a little bit simpler by getting rid of the fraction. Sn equals to 36 over 2. So when we look here, this fraction becomes 16n. And sorry, 16, no, not 16n, excuse me. 36, so that's going to become 18n. 18n. And then again, this fraction here, 4 over 2, that's going to give us 2n squared. Okay, so if you want to just pause the video now, I'm going to ask you to find for me S40. You're going to get a negative number here, so don't be panicking if you do get a negative number. Let's go ahead and find S40 for me, and when you're done, press play and we'll go through it. Okay, so S40, what we're going to do is we're going to say 18 by 40 minus 2 by 40 squared, and that's going to give you 18 by 40 minus 2 by 40 squared is going to give you minus 2480.